race 3 of 5 on today's Finetwork FIM Junior GP World Championship billing at the Circuit Ricardo Tormo in Valencia is Moto 2. Last time out, the title was already wrapped up by Senna Aegis, and he has qualified on pole position. But he's going to have his work cut out. 18 laps around this 4-kilometre long circuit see him come from the back of the grid after riding slowly in sectors during qualifying. So expect a fireworks and a blockbuster in this epic 18-lap season finale in Moto 2. These are live shots then from the Ricardo Tormo circuit just outside Cheste in Valencia. And we are ready for our final Moto 2 race of the year. Kiko Giles and Steve English alongside me, bringing you the action live track side here for the final round of this season. Steve, we've already had 2 amazing races. No spoilers, of course, until a bit later on. This one, though, we do have the title decided, but we have the crowned champion with a massive task ahead of him.
Yeah, for Senna Aegis, starting from the back of the field, how's he going to fare? Well, he's going to make his progress, he's going to make it nice and early, but is he going to be able to come through and pick up a race victory? He certainly said yesterday that's the goal. He believes he can do it. He was on pole by 0.8 of a second, so he's cut the speed, but coming through a Moto 2 field is always difficult.
This is what happened last time out. It was a double billing of Moto 2 action. Senna Aegis, as always, going from pole position. He has been absolutely on fire and qualified. It was Yero Ruiz who originally tried to go with him. Further back, there was a battle with Alberto Ferrandis, who stepped up to the class. Yero Ruiz trying to go with Aegis, couldn't do it and crashed out. Aegis the winner. However, he did not take the title in race 1. Xavi Cardelus's 7th place, just about keeping Cardelus in contention. Down into turn 1 on the opening lap of race 2, it was Ruiz who led, whilst Nico Antonelli suffered another DNF with a crash early on. Aegis, and it was Alberto Sura in the end, the number 67 on the Bosca Scuro, absolutely knocking spots off each other. Senna went wide at turn 1, Sura fought back. Those two were absolutely side by side, and in the end it went to Aegis, who took the title as well. But now we're here in Valencia. That title is done and dusted. It is in the history books, and Senna goes in to the remainder of this weekend, at least with a new challenge, and it is coming from the back of the grid. So keep an eye out from Aegis there. Spoke with him yesterday, and he's certainly confident he can do it. He's concerned that perhaps other riders will try and make a break for it in the early stages. As you can see, the orange is in full blossom, and we're in for a bit of a fruity race, Steve. I can imagine this one is going to be very tasty indeed, watching Senna carve his way through the field. Okay,
how many more food-related puns are you going to put in before lunchtime? Our lunch isn't coming, Kiko. We have to wait until after we're finished. So,
do we go to Hungary next year on the calendar?
For Senna, it is going to be really interesting to see how quickly he's able to make his progress. As I said, he was our pole sitter before he was given his back-of-the-grid penalty for slow riding. So for Senna, it's going to be a case of trying to make your way as quickly through the field as you can. What's probably interesting for him is that at least for riders in the Moto 2 class now, you don't have to come through the stock class like you used to in the past, so he is just up against Moto 2 riders. He should be able to make some pretty quick progress.
This is what happened yesterday. This was before the sanction came in. Senna obviously was originally your pole man.
Strange weekend, unfortunate with the weather conditions making it difficult for everyone. Didn't get to ride the bike until this morning, but I felt good from the first laps this morning. So a big credit to my team that they deserved our performance today as well, and we're working well, and I feel good for the race distance also with the tyres and everything. So no, I'm looking forward to tomorrow to try and end the season on a high. My risks are the same. It's like a new weekend for me, and I want to perform the best I can and try and make the best result possible. It's nice to have the championship in the pocket, but I'm a normal racer and I just want to win everything I can. So no, same mentality for tomorrow. I have one objective, that's to end the season in the best way possible.
He's certainly going to have his work cut out. I had a proper chat with Senna last night. We were doing some filming for post-season. Of course, you can tune into all of the Junior GP social media channels and find out where all the content is. We will have a very nice special interview with himself and his father. And Senna gave him some homework. I said, watch Max Keeler's round here from earlier in the year coming through from the back of the grid. Watch 2015 MotoGP Valencia, Valentino coming through from the back of the grid. And he's going to have to. Jero Ruiz is on pole position. Now, Ruiz was one of those riders who has got pace. He has got very fast, won that pace. He's just struggled at times this year to put it together in a race.
Very impressive last week in World Supersport as well for Jari. Coming in as a wild card, was able to come away with the top 10 finish in race 2. Should have had 2 top 10s last weekend. So he's been able to have a very strong season on a Supersport bike and the Moto2 bike.
Alberto Sura for the Boscoscioro team has had 4 podiums. He hasn't had a victory. This could be his biggest chance. Valencia early in the year didn't finish, no points on the board from him there, but podiums in the last few races mean that he is one to watch and one who's going to look to capitalise as Senna makes his way through the field.
Yeah, I think it's one of those situations for Sura where you've got to just take advantage of Senna being at the back of the field and just seeing if you're able to give yourself that chance to the race victory. He's still trying to make sure he's got a chance of finishing second in the championship, but realistically it's third in the standings this year for him.
Harrison Voigt has had a podium. That was right back at the start of the season at Estoril. Since then, only 1 top 10. That came in Catalonia. He goes from the front row. This is a massive opportunity for him to end 2023 in something like at least he started the season.
Yeah, qualified in the 3rd row of the grid as well in Catalonia. Front row now for the 2nd time this season, just like in Valencia earlier in the year when he retired from a top 10 spot. But it is a case of trying to finish the season strong for Harrison.
4th place for Unai Aradre. Aradre, a winner earlier in the year in Catalonia. That was when Senna Agius was out injured. So that is a perfect example of striking whilst that iron is hot. Taking advantage when the opportunity arises. That's what they've got to do today.
Yeah, and when you look at his last couple of rounds in Catalonia and Aragon, 2 podiums and 2 other top 6 finishes, it's a good end to the season.
Alberto Ferrandez, one of the stars last time out at Motorland Aragon. Didn't get the podium that perhaps some might say he deserved, but Ferrandez absolutely on mighty form. 5th and 4th in his first Moto2 outings. He is a tall lad. He's much more suited to these kind of bikes.
He's only 16. He's still raced in the Rookies Cup this year, had a race win and another podium, but stepping up to a Moto2 machine last time out. He's looking at what we were able to see from the likes of Firmin Aldeguer and riders like that made the move onto a Moto2 bike here nice and early. He's a big, tall rider, so it is the step that he probably had to make anyway.
Ferrandez, it seems like he's been around forever. Likewise, Roberto Garcia. Roberto Garcia, 2 podiums in 2023 thus far. 5th in the championship. He'll be looking to try and improve on that this race if he can. Goes from 6th and the back of the 2nd row.
Yeah, a year older than Fernandez, but another rider that saw that maybe being in the European Talent Cup, maybe being in the Junior GP classes wasn't what was best for him and his progression, so he made the switch. A little bit like Senna Agius, a little bit like Harrison Voigt, made that switch onto a Moto2 bike a bit earlier than most people would have expected.
This is the Andorran Xavi Cardaluz, finally a race winner in 2023. That came in Barcelona. He has had 5 podiums, but Aragon 6th and 8th, the worst results of his season really from one round with 2 races. Just proving a problem and not taking the title to the final race of the year. Cardaluz going from the head of the 3rd row.
Yeah, it's been another one of those seasons where for Xavi it's been solid. Finishing 2nd in the championship is likely what it's going to happen for him. But picking up the race victory was the important thing. He's been able to get that monkey off his back.
Peter Bishikirski goes from the middle of the 3rd row in 8th place. Now, he has had a season where a lot of DNFs have happened. Double DNF last time out at Aragon. He'll be looking to try and end this season on a high. He's had podium pace as well, don't forget, in years gone by. Your pole sitter is Jero Ruiz. Will he be able to convert it? Will he be able to take victory? As Senna Agius struggles downfield, the opposition have a land of opportunity. Jero Ruiz goes from pole position, which should have been occupied by Senna Agius, but a penalty for the Australian, the rider who is already crowned champion, means that Ruiz, Sura and Voigt, your front row contenders, may well be knocking spots off each other for a victory in 2023. The grid is formed, it is also clearing as we speak. Agius goes from 17th. We had other riders with other penalties further back. due to the same infraction, which was riding slowly on the racing line. Montero is one of them, Channon into another. So we are going to be in for an absolutely barnstorming season finale, I'm sure. Senna Aegis coming right the way through, 6 rows he's got to clear. So this is going to be absolutely phenomenal. You can actually hear in the headset, if I pause for a moment, just how windy it is. It is so windy. Less of a factor on these Moto 2 machines, Steve, but still a factor nonetheless when you're in your braking area moving into the corners.
Yeah, you can see the riders getting ready on the grid. They know that that's going to be a factor all the way through this. They've seen it in the Moto 3 class. They've seen it in the ETC class as well. We've got half a dozen riders with penalties for long laps or back of the grid penalties. We also had Hector Garzo disqualified from the weekend for using an engine outside of his official allocation. So Hector not able to finish the season off like he would have wanted. In terms of the championship, Senna Aegis, obviously our champion, already declared this year in the European Moto 2 Championship. Xavi Cardelus has the chance to wrap up second in the championship. He's comfortably ahead of Alberto Sura. There's 21 points between them, so Sura needs to win the race to have a chance of being able to finish in second. But really for Sura, he's up against Rato on the number 13 machine for third in the World Championship. So keep an eye out for those two riders as the race progresses. But the 67 of Sura, he starts on the front row of the grid, and Rato is on the third row.
Yeah, Rato well outside of any of the mains featuring grid slots, to be honest. He's not had pace all weekend, but that again stems from the track time has been limited all weekend. The
track time has been limited. That's where it takes time to be able to gain that experience out there. That's where it's pretty impressive to be able to see the 54 of Alberto Ferrandez able to give himself a chance qualifying on the second row of the grid, only his second time out here on a Moto 2 machine, so fair play to him. But that's also skewed a little bit. He was 6th fastest, and for Senna Aegis, he was 0.8 of a second faster than Yari Ruiz, who'll start from that pole position. So for the likes of Fernandez, you're still 2 seconds off the pace, but you're on the second row of the grid. Senna is going to be the rider worth keeping an eye on. Obviously not our champion this year. We've been able to see him so dominant all the way through the campaign. But starting from the back of the field, how quickly can he make his progress? How many laps are you giving him, Kiko?
I will give until he's in. If he gets to the front, I think he'll be doing it within the first half of the race.
Yeah, I think you're looking at 5 laps for him to be able to come through, because that's the pace advantage that he has. And we know that in Valencia, into turn 1, into turn 2, into the end of the back straight on the opening lap, there are overtaking opportunities even on Moto 2 machinery. Senna Aegis, you can see there the number 81 machine, the white bike. He's had some races in the World Championship this year. He's obviously stepping up to the World Championship next year. He's a rider that made the switch from a Moto 3 bike to a Moto 2 bike, having not really done an awful lot in the Moto 3 class here in the JuniorGP paddock, and then surprised everyone with just how complete a rider he was on the Moto 2 bike. It's going to be interesting to see how he fares next year in the World Championship.
When I spoke to Senna yesterday, I said, but this track is a bit more difficult to pass on than the others. And he said, actually, with the pace he's got, it should be pretty straightforward. And it was harder at Jerez when things weren't going his way as well.
Oh, that's the thing. 0.8 of a second in hand gives him that big advantage. He's got the confidence and the experience on this bike that it will be a case of being able to make that pretty quick progress. The big issue for a lot of the other riders is we've had that limited track time. They might be a little bit more circumspect in the early stages of the race, whereas Senna's just going to go for it. He's got nothing to lose now. He just wants to go ahead, have fun, win his last race in the European Championship, and then ride off into the sunset and get ready for next season.
I spoke to him about next season as well, and he is absolutely relishing the prospect of racing at home in the Australian Grand Prix. Of course, that's 2024. We're in 2023 now.
Just for Senna as well, it's been such a busy run for him. Aussie Superbike, Supersport last year, Moto 2 World Championship, European Championship. It's been a fast rise to the top tiers for him.
It's been fast but deserved, and we're going to see him rise to the top here as well. Probably he's got to come through a load of traffic. Yaroi goes from pole. Good start from him. He gets away well. Second place on the grid, not so much. Got smoke coming off. I think that was a tyre that just came down as well. The front tyre of Yaroi Ruiz, that was. Sam Wilford on the outside there, taking a wide sweeping line into turn 1 and gets pushed out for it as well. But out front, Yaroi Ruiz versus Alberto Sura. Straight away, Sura trying to get through on the inside. That looked a bit tight. This time, Oh, he does get it through. Did he push him wide enough? Yes, he did. No, he didn't. Surra does not come through. The two yellow bikes swapping. Like two highlighter pens going at it at the front here. So Ruiz leads Surra. Harrison Voigt holds third place. And up into fourth place, Roberto Garcia with a brilliant start.
Yeah, and you can see for Jari Ruiz now just able to sweep through that section of the track to give himself the lead, but under attack straight away from Alberto Surra. And then a little bit of a moment there on the exit as well for the 72 of Jari Ruiz. That's what's opened the door then for Harrison Voigt.
Wow, and Garcia down the outside. He's going to be... Oh, I didn't think he was going to get that stop, but he did get it stopped. So Garcia third. Unai Radre pushing and shoving Jari Ruiz at the moment. Ruiz back to fourth.
3 moments there in the opening half a lap though for Jari Ruiz on that 72 machine.
Unai Radre a little bit wide. That will invite the number 74, Peter Bishikerski, if he can.
Oh, big crash in the background.
Oh, dear me, who was that? Was a massive off in the background. We're going to... Oh, and there's another. That's Harrison Voigt. Harrison Voigt has gone down at turn 12. That is a massive opportunity gone for Harrison Voigt. That is a story of what could have been for sure. Thankfully, he's up on his feet, but he is going to be devastated without the Australian walks away. But what an eventful couple of corners there. We had someone high side out of contention in the back. And here we are. It's one of the promo racing machines. I'm not quite sure who it is at the moment.
I think it's Jared Ryu. But,
it is. It is Jerry.
Yeah, it is Jerry, and that's a shame for him. It was a big high side in the background coming out of the mid-lap hairpin there, so that is always a accident key hot spot during the course of the early laps of the race, but luckily he's able to walk away from it, but it does look like he's a little bit prone on that wrist.
I was just before them two crashes going to draw your attention to the rider in 8th place. I think you all know where I'm going to go with this. Senna Aegis has already elevated himself into the top 10 position. So Aegis, he's going to come through your back of shot now. He's just chasing 49. That's all Francesco Mongiardo. So keep an eye on Aegis. He's already more or less in that leading group. Let's see how long it takes him to catch up to the top 6. There's a bit of a gap back from 6th to 7th.
He's so much faster mid-corner there as well, as you'd expect, than the riders he's chasing down. So for Senna on the 81, I'd say by the time we take a wider shot, he's already picked off another rider.
Let's have a look in the background. No, not this time, but anyway, Alberto Surra leads Roberto Garcia. There's a bit of a gap forming between them two, about 7/10 of a second. Garcia in second. That's a brilliant start from him up from the second row. Whilst that shot says it all, Harrison Voigt, a stretcher for what could have been for him. I think that is a big shame for the Australian, who just tucked the front really at turn 12. Easy done. Hopefully we'll get a replay of it and see what happened. Out front, it is Surra from Garcia, from Ruiz, from Radre. Then it's Vishakursky and Cardelus. Aegis, has he gone up into 7th? Yes, he has. So Aegis is already back through. Garcia wrestling with that Fantic racing machine there in second, trying everything he can to stay in touch with your race leader, Alberto Surra.
Yeah, and Surra doing a very good job at this stage of the race to get his head down to 35.4. And that is a decent lap time right now. It's actually faster than what we saw in the qualifying session, so immediately down underneath the pole time there as well. So for the 67 of Surra from the middle of the front row of the grid, he's given himself that opportunity, and Senna has managed to come through another spot, so he's up into P7. He just managed to pick off Mongiardo, and we'll see if he's able to close up onto the back of it. Looks like it's Bishop's Kursky there that is his next target.
Ruiz just going down Garcia, but going wide, so swapping paint at turn 8. That's very, very common there. You just, if you outbrake yourself, it's off camera as well. So outbrake yourself, you do generally tend to run a bit wide. But Garcia riding very, very well. Oh, moment and moment again. It was moments everywhere to the top 10 of that corner. That was Jari Ruiz, and he's gone back to 4th. Unai Radre taking advantage.
Yeah, Jari doesn't have the bike underneath him to give him the confidence in this race so far. We've seen him have quite a few bobbles and moments there, whether it's been on the brakes or on the gas. So that bike just isn't working right now for him.
Yeah, he's going to have to try and settle into it though, although now he's back in 4th. He can't settle down too much. 5th place at the moment is Xavi Cardelus. Where's Peter Bishakursky
He's
gone?
been passed by Senna Aegis.
Bishakursky's lost a lot of time now on this lap. Bishakursky.
They were together going into turn 9 and turn 10, so maybe Senna's made his move through there, and it's just ended up costing Peter a fair bit of ground. It didn't end up costing Senna too much time. New fastest lap of his race last time around. He's got a bit of clear track in front of him now to try and close up on Xavi Cardelus. They were teammates last year, and he needs to try and close up on him. This is down in towards the hairpin. Have a look at Jari Ruiz. He's going to have a big slide through mid-corner just as he starts to open the gas, and he's able to hold on to that one, but so many big warning moments for Jari Ruiz so far in this one. You can see at the top of the shot, Bishop Kursky was still in front of Senna Aegis heading into the uphill section at the end of the lap, so we'll wait and see if we find out what happened to Peter, but as it is, he lost a lot of ground and dropped down to 9th position. Yeah,
Bishop Kursky is still in this race, but like you say, Steve, he is down now towards the bottom end of the top 10. We have yellow flags at turn 2 and 3. Not quite sure what that is, but we'll bring you any updates when we get them. Surra riding very well at the moment. We've got a second advantage more or less. Mattia Volpi has crashed out. That's number 77. That seems like it's at turn 3, which is that should be quite a fast one. So hopefully Mattia is okay. There he is on the MMR machine. Let's have a look and see what happened. Do we get a replay? Yes, we do. Steve talk. Oh my! Yeah, me.
Just loses it early there, and then just runs out of road with a big moment. He was lucky he didn't high side clearly at the time he got onto the gas, and then he's just running out of gravel and has to deck the bike there just before going in towards the tyre wall. But that's the end of his season in the Moto2 European Championship.
Mattia Volpi out of action and with that turn 3 accident, thankfully up on his feet and okay though. I tell you what, Alberto Surra is laying down this pace. I know it's only early, we still have 14 laps left to go, but a 1.6 second advantage. Surra looking very, very handy out front at the moment.
For Surra, he needs to win this race to have a chance of finishing second in the championship. He also needs Xavi Cardelus to basically not score points, but for Alberto, he's doing what he needs to do to give himself a chance of second and finish this season strong on the Boscoscuro bike.
And once again on that Boscoscuro bike, it's competitive in this class, Steve. We've seen them take the title before and they've always been competitive, so it's a sign that that team really still have got that pace, that potential, despite Aegis' dominance in this class.
Yeah, the one thing about it is Senna's obviously just been that rider to meet. You can see here for Garcia just trying to hold off Uno Aradre in the middle of the lap, but Aradre will get another opportunity to come through. But for that Boscoscuro team, we've seen it in the past. Obviously, Fermin Aldeguer and Lopez, they were great teammates, able to dominate a season. We know what that team can do, but now they need to make sure that they've got the right rider to give them the opportunity to do that going forward when Senna moves up to the World Championship.
Look at this, Aradre up into second place. He parked it at turn 12. Garcia back to third. Garcia is going to be back to fourth in a minute. Through comes Jari Ruiz. Now, hopefully, Ruiz's race has calmed down a little bit and he can get his head down and carry on with some good lap times. He's had a lot of moments in those opening 2 or 3 laps. Hopefully it's now calmed right down, although Garcia comes back through and Ruiz lets the brakes off all the time. Cardelus and this rider here, Senna Aegis, this is playing into their hands as they're catching them hand over fist anyway, and they're still at it. Garcia and Ruiz, this is not good for their race. They're costing each other time at the moment. Ruiz seems to have cleared Garcia. Garcia perhaps not with such pace. Aegis coming through. Aegis comes through on Cardelus. These were the 2 title contenders. Obviously, Aegis has already wrapped that up a round ago, but he's now up inside those top 5 places. So Aegis already within the first 5 laps inside the top 5.
Yeah, and he is going to give himself the chance to come through, and Garcia, Ruiz and Uno Aradre pretty quick as well, and Senna just making nice, clean, easy moves to give himself that opportunity. Keep an eye at the background of the shot. He made a good start off the line compared to some of the riders around him, but down in towards turn 1, he held that tighter line just to be able to give himself the chance to just get in the gas nice and early and outdrive a few riders on the exit of the corner. You'll see here for Senna on the run into the corner, he gets himself boxed in a little bit, but look at him as he comes mid-corner. He's got so much more speed than the riders around him, and he's able to bridge back that gap to the riders in front of him. We don't quite catch it at the end of the replay, but he picked those guys off and was able to make pretty quick progress right from the get-go. Let's see if he's able to get close enough to try and make a move into turn 1 maybe on Roberto Garcia.
If not turn 1, you'd imagine turn 2, Aegis with a lot more performance under him than Garcia. By the looks of it, Garcia's struggling in the last couple of laps. They flash by our commentary position. Garcia's still having a go at Ruiz. Ruiz lets the brakes off Garcia, half wheels him, can't quite get it through on the... Oh yes he can, because Ruiz got out wide and that'll give Senna Aegis a free position. So Senna says thank you very much and through into 4th place for the Australian. So the number 81 into 4th place, now knocking on the door of the podium position. He's going to have a look at Garcia very soon. Not quite at turn 4.
Yeah, on a Moto2 bike, it's a very brave place to try and make a move because you can have a very cold right-hand side of the tyre through there. That's where we see an awful lot of crashes. So for Senna, he just keeps himself back. That extra little bit of leeway at this stage. The gap between himself and the race leader, though, 4 seconds. It's coming down a few tenths of a second every lap. But once he gets to the front of this group, does he have that pace to be able to drop himself down into the 34s and really be able to close up on the race leader? Alberto Sura out in front doing 35.3s, so he's dropped his pace off by a second from his fastest lap of the race.
Sura leading well and undisturbed, more to the point as well. So he's not being pushed around. He's not having his feathers ruffled. He's out doing his own races in time trial mode here at this point, and that's all he can do is control what he can. There's no point worrying about where Senna is. It doesn't really matter at this stage of the season. Wow, Ruiz again, moments through turn 13 on the direction change. That bike's just so unstable by the looks of things. He's lost a bit of time, so just that time around, but still Cardelus cannot capitalise. So across the line, another lap ticked off then, and it is Senna Aegis who's in 4th place. We're keeping an eye on him, the number 81. Not quite close enough to Roberto Garcia though. Aegis not coming through perhaps as quickly as we thought he would.
Yeah, but he's a half a second faster than Sura last time around, so he's coming through more than fast enough right now. Personal best last time around once again for Senna, so he's just gradually getting faster and faster. It's a long race here, 18 laps, so it's a long time for Alberto Sura to try and stay out in front. As it is, Senna puts himself in a position to make, like I said last time around, a brave move into turn 4. If you're coming through there, you need to have total confidence in that right-hand side of the tyre. He's able to make the move nice and clean, doesn't cost himself any time, and that's the hallmark of the top riders. They're able to make overtaking moves without costing each other lap time, and then just give yourself the chance of making that progress. The gap as he came across the line last time around, 3.4 seconds to the race leader. We'll see what it is in round about 40 seconds time when they come across the line again.
With that class, that's why he is moving up to the Moto2 World Championship itself next year. With that team, he's going to be teammates with Darren Binder, is Senna Aegis, so a real star of the present as much as he is going to be in the future. I'm sure he's already scored points in Moto2 races in the last couple of seasons when he's gone there and filled in for whatever reason. So Aegis looking to end this season on a high. Next stop on the hit list for him this race, it is his teammate. No, it isn't his teammate, but it is Unai Radre, the one other rider who has had an opportunity to beat Senna this year. He just wasn't in the race, he was out injured, but Unai Radre, no slouch himself. We've seen him, Steve, in World Supersport and World Supersport 300. He's won races in the World Superbike paddock, so he is fast. Unfortunately, Aegis is just a little bit faster at this time of the race.
Yeah, and for Senna, a 34.5, new fastest lap of the race, and he's pulled back 0.6 of a second on the race leader, so it's only a matter of time before Senna's catching the race leader as well. But what's interesting is, once again, Aegis so much faster in this section of track than the riders around him, and he's able to get that bike stopped well into turn 4 and able to make the clean move once again without costing himself any time. So that is the important thing. What's probably the key thing though for the likes of Senna Aegis is we've seen where the European Championship can breed riders to come through. Firmin Aldeguer, race winner last time out in Thailand, the rider being linked with potentially that Repsol Honda spot in MotoGP as well. So it does show that from the European Championship you can get yourself opportunities. That wasn't the case in the past. You think back to Raffin or Edgar Pons, all these successful riders that never really were able to make a count in the World Championship. We've seen Aldeguer, we've seen Lopez, and Senna Aegis is going to hope that he's a rider that can follow in that pattern as well.
Aegis now up into 2nd place, so let's just give you a quick gap check. He is 2.7 more or less away from your race leader. We'll do it properly when they come across the line and when our timing has updated. But Aegis now with a bit of clear track up to Alberto Sura, and when they come across the line it is half race distance and 9 laps to go.
Senna's already 0.6 of a second faster on this lap than Sura, and that was with making the move through on Unai Radre. As they come across the line, it ended up being half a second he was faster, so the gap now down to 2.4 seconds. The 81's coming, and in the next 3 laps he's going to be right on the heels of Alberto Sura.
Cue the Jaws music by the sound of things.
Well, it's more about who's going to come with him. Can Unai Radre or Roberto Garcia just latch onto the back of him and slipstream their way up, or use him as that benchmark to be able just to find a little bit more performance and give themselves a chance of being able to get in the fight as well with Sura?
This is your gap difference then last time around, 35.2 for Sura, 34.7 for Aegis. There's no question that Aegis is a lot faster than your race leader, but catching round here is one thing, passing's another, although Aegis shouldn't have too much difficulty with that.
He's come through in 15 riders already, so I think passing's not too much of an issue for Senna Aegis around here. What's going to be interesting, though, is to see whether or not the race leader, Alberto Sura, is stronger in that first sector. Overall, through the course of the race so far, there actually hasn't been much to choose between those two riders in Sector 1, so maybe that doesn't set up the move into Turn 4 like we've been able to see from Aegis up until now.
Yeah, the gaps on this lap, it's been Aegis has found time in that second sector again and again in the third sector, but as you quite rightly say, Steve, Sector 1 is not actually quicker than your race leader.
But again, in Sector 2 and 3, he's a half a second faster, so that's where he's making the difference. And for Aegis, the last few laps, they've pretty much just matched the pace of each other, but now this is the first time we really get to see him get his head down for one full clear lap to see what he can do. It was a 35.4 from Alberto Sura, 7/10 of a second faster Senna Aegis last time around.
So Senna is on his way down, and Radre is going with him to an extent. He's just Aegis is a perfect carrot for him at the moment. It's just a reference rider. It's dragging Radre out of the battle with Garcia, and it's also, if there is a battle for first, which it doesn't look like there could be, it looks like Aegis should come down Sura pretty swiftly, then maybe then Radre is in a position to make a bit of time up when the battle starts.
Yeah, I have to say, once again, Uno Radre impressing in this race. He's been really good on a Moto2 bike since he jumped onto it. He's a guy that when he was in the Supersport 300 field, we always looked at it and thought, you know what, he's got a bit of something about him. He always loves a fight. He's always able to give himself a chance of being able to come away with a result. And that's what you're seeing in this race as well. He's just latching on to the back of Senna, and he's 3/4 of a second faster than the race leader as well. So he knows this is a chance of being able to come away with a second place finish. Obviously a race winner already this season, but if Uno is able to pick up another podium, it really would be a good way to finish off this season. Rookie in the Moto2 European Championship this year. He's obviously got Moto E experience, Supersport experience, 300 experience, but now he's found a championship that gives him an opportunity to be able to really show what he can do, and he'll start next year as a real contender. He'll replace Senna as that team leader for the Intact team, and the expectation will be that that team doesn't miss a beat.
Absolutely, I mean, they are the champions of the last 2 years. Back to the front, Alberto Sura, he's not short on World Championship experience. He will be looking to end this year on a high, but it's just getting smaller and smaller, and Senna Aegis is getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Oh, the moment won't have helped either, asking for the power on the exit of Turn 1. So Alberto Sura, he's trying hard.
You have to put yourself in Sura's shoes. He's been looking at his pit board to see the gap back to the riders behind him. He mightn't have known it was always Senna Aegis that was chasing him, but he would have seen that the gap to the group behind them was getting smaller and smaller, and now he knows it's the 81 chasing him down, and he's 0.6 of a second a lap faster. It should be in the next 2 laps that Senna is able to give himself an opportunity to come through and get himself into the race lead. As it is, we're at 2/3 distance now, and Aegis is just applying that pressure. You can see here for the 67 of Sura, that was the moment through Turn 1, just asking a little bit too much as he got in the gas, but didn't end up actually costing him all that much time, only a few hundredths of a second compared to what he had been doing in that sector up until then. It looks like a bigger moment than the time loss.
Aegis is now less than a second away from the rear end of the Boscoscuro of Alberto Sura. Sura has been your long-time race leader, but you get the feeling that 1 or 2 laps from now, maybe even less than that, that's all going to change. Let's see what Sura's got in the tank. Don't forget these 2 battled at Aragon.
Half a dozen corners from now, Aegis is going to come through and take this race lead. He's going to try and do it into Turn 4. That's where he's got all that confidence.
Let's see if he has to wait that long. Maybe he's got right on the back of him there. That third sector, Senna is so fast, it might be even Turn 2 at this rate, Steve. They come across the line again, 6 to go. Aegis is there. It's academic now, that gap. There's no point talking about the gap. It's 0.2 for reference, but he's there. It's a battle now for victory. These 2 did have a battle at Aragon last time out. Aegis made a mistake when he got to the front that time around. It doesn't look like he's going to make a mistake this time around. We're coming through Turn 3. This is where Aegis has set up all his moves for Turn 4, and there is another one, and he doesn't waste any time, but he's gone a little bit wide. Does he carry the speed perfectly? Yes, he does. And Alberto Sura Now is the time to strike straight back, and I'm not sure he's really got the pace to do so. Aegis has made light work of Sura so far. They're coming on the exit of turn 6 now, turn 8 really, but from then on in, that last sector is where Aegis is so strong. I tell you what, Sura is making a bit of a go at this, and he does go through, and he does run Aegis off the racing line. It's what we said he had to do. Aegis is now looking on the outside. That isn't going to work through there. He cost himself a bit of time, but Sura, for now at least, survives a few more corners out front.
Yeah, through 4, 5, 6, it was a case of Sura being placed into the wrong position on the racetrack by Senna Aegis, but then down the back straight, he's able to make that nice move, uses the little bit of a slipstream and puts his bike down the inside, gives himself that track position. Valencia is a track position racetrack. If you're able to get those inside lines, it does make it very difficult for the other riders. But for Alberto, he did what he had to do to try and hold on to that race lead, and he'll know that he's got 5 more laps of that, and that's going to be so difficult to do. But Senna will also have learned from that, and maybe he'll try and make the move in a different place than what he did that time around. Maybe Senna has to make the move into turn 2 to then give himself that better speed through 3, 4, 5 than what we've been able to see from Alberto Sura.
Dear me, ride it, cowboy. Senna Aegis is out to sea on the exit of turn 1. So, turn 4 again, then let's see if he can do it. He's definitely close enough as he lines up through turn 3. Yeah, he'll let the brakes off into turn 4, that's not a problem. He does go wide again though, and Alberto Sura has absolutely taken his gloves off now. Sura knows he wants to win. He wants to end this year on a high. And my goodness me, he's making Senna work hard for this. What did we say earlier? Catching one thing, passing another. Battle on at the front.
Yeah, for Senna though, it's about trying to figure out where he's able to make that move a little bit cleaner. We've seen it both times he's come through in turn 4, but he's ran out onto that curb. He's had to try and just carry a little bit too much speed through that. It leaves you a bit vulnerable. So he probably needs to make the move into the next corner, into the next left-hander.
Turn 11 we're talking about. We're right here now. Aegis having a look. Having a look only though, Sura a bit wide, but that's the line of the Bosco-Oscuro at that turn. Turn 12, not realistic on the Moto2 machines. Turn 14 perhaps for Senna as he builds now through the direction change to turn 13. Up over the top of it, oh, he's going to do it early. So I tell you, Sura is just out a bit wide there. It's going to be on the brakes for Aegis. Does he get it pulled down? He gets it to an apex, but Sura's going to carry the speed off the corner and down the straight, maybe slipstream his way into the lead by turn 1. Wow, side by side, and across the line, Sura back ahead.
Yeah, and for Senna, he needs to attack now into turn 2. The reason I said the next left-hander, meaning that long left-hander at the end of the lap, is if he can make the move there, he's got this speed advantage in this sector. Now he needs to attack into 2 to use his speed through 3, 4, 5. Not quite able to do it, so Alberto really doing a good job there on the 67 to hold out at the front of the field. Senna's clearly faster than him, but for the 67, he's putting his bike where it needs to be. Aegis now a little bit tidier through turn 4, and that should be job done.
Third time of asking. Aegis has tried it at turn 4. This time looks like the best time. He's back ahead, and he looks like he might have just done enough. But let's see Sura. Can Sura respond at turn 8? It's going to have to be turn 8 if anywhere, but I think Senna's got it sorted this time around. This time, Aegis has cleared Alberto Sura. So unless there's a mistake from here on in, with 3.5 laps to go, Senna Aegis has finally made his turn 4 move stick.
Yeah, and for Aegis, that's the area of the track he's been so fast in all the way through this race. But Alberto Sura has done what he had to do to try and give himself a chance of being able to hold on to that race lead. Senna now using every inch of the track, trying to push it on as far as he can. But definitely not a case of being able to leave yourself in that position to be able to attack. But Aegis, we don't see many races, Kiko, where riders come from outside the front row of the grid, front 2 rows of the grid, to be able to win in the Moto2 European Championship. And Senna is going to be able to do it in a dry weather race. To be the first guy to ever do it outside the front 3 rows of the grid shows just how complete a rider he is in this class.
The only other time it's happened, Steve, Albacete, race 2 from 2018, that was a red flagged race. It was absolutely tipping down. And it was Luis Pomares who won on a Kawasaki, so a stock bike coming through. That was on from 18th on the grid up into the lead. Senna's come from 17th on the grid to lead in a full distance dry race. So classy act from a classy rider. Alberto Sura doing well just to latch onto the back, and he's going to finish the race in second place. He's going to end the year on a high. It will not be second in the championship. He needed to win and hope that Cardelus did not finish pretty much. However, Aegis, just a class act, and this has been a dominant season. I mean, I can't remember a Moto2 season where it's been quite as dominant as this. Each race has been won by big margins. There's been not too many battles. This is going to be, I think, win number 10 for Aegis. He has been in a league of his own, and that's why he is moving on up to Moto2 World Championship duty next year.
Well, to be honest, it's Aldeguer a few years ago whenever he was able to win the first 8 races of the year. That's the only season that's comparable to what we've seen from Senna. And we know how good Furman is. We also know how good his teammate was, Alonso Lopez, back then. It was a lot of times they were finishing first and second, those two Boscoscuro bikes, and that's why both of them moved up to the World Championship. But for Senna to do this, it's been more impressive than what we saw from Lukas Tulovic last year, and Tulo was very impressive in his own right. But for Senna Aegis, he's been able to show that he's the class rider in the Moto2 European Championship. But now it's to really kick on from that, show that you can do it in the World Championship. How many times have we seen riders super successful in the Moto2 European Championship and not really go on to do too much else? Jordi Torres, a double champion in this class, went on to win a Grand Prix, went on to win a World SPK race. But when you look down the list of all the riders that have had success in this class, that have won championships, there's so many of them where it should have been a stepping stone and it didn't quite work out for them. It takes them time to be able to adapt. Yari Montella is a good example of it, former champion, and this year on a Ducati in the Supersport class was able to show that, you know what, he's got that bit of talent about himself, he's got that speed, he's got the racecraft, and he's been able to build on it. Aegis needs to jump into round 1 next year in the Moto2 World Championship and show, I'm the guy that can really push on and give yourself an opportunity. He's a guy that when he was on a Moto3 bike was too big for it. It never quite gelled for him. I remember speaking to Leon Camier, who works as an advisor and does a lot of work with Senna Aegis, and Leon said a Moto3 bike isn't letting him show what he can do. Keep an eye out for him because he is a talent. And sure enough, Senna's been able to prove that. But he's also a guy that came up the hard way. He was an Aussie Supersport 300 champion and had to really fight for his opportunities in Europe. That's where a season like this is the real reward for all that hard work.
And he was 12 when he got the Asia Talent Cup opportunity in 2018, and no doubt that unlocked doors for him. But still, when I spoke to him yesterday, it's a very similar career path to Casey Stoner, both growing up on dirt track, both making the big move from Australia to have a base in Europe. In the case of Stoner, it was in the UK for the first couple of years. And you know, it isn't easy. It doesn't matter what level, it isn't easy just to make the move seamlessly and be on it straight away. And when you come from dominating and winning everything in your home country, and then it doesn't start working out as you thought it would, you have to start doubting yourself. But as Senna said, he trusted himself, he trusted his path, his belief, the process. And this is the reward of all of that belief and trust that he's put in, all the sacrifices. He's here with his dad, Jonathan, on his own, his mum back home in Australia. It's hard to make it work from outside of Europe when you're the outsider coming in. And he's a star that's really shone brightly last year and this year.
Yeah, we saw him last year have an opportunity in the Moto2 World Championship, replacing an injured Sam Lowes with the Mark VDS team. This year, his few races, he's done 5 races in the World Championship as well, hasn't really been able to show just how good a rider he is, but in the European Championship, he has been able to show that. He's got 18 weeks to get himself ready to be a full-time Moto2 World Championship rider, but he's come through from the 6th row of the grid in this race to claim this race victory. So impressive from Senna Aegis, but what makes it impressive is it's not even a surprise.
It's not a surprise, it's expected, and it was expected by himself yesterday. Senna Aegis, 17th on the grid, P1 on Sunday afternoon. Senna Aegis takes the final win of 2023 in the European Moto2 Championship. It's the 10th of his career. He's just the 3rd rider to take 10 wins in this class. Edgar Pons on 18, Jesko Raffin on 10 in 2nd place. 2nd place in the race, Alberto Sura. He fought valiantly, but in the end, just not enough to stop a hard-charging Senna Aegis. 3rd for Unai Aradre, in the end, just holding on ahead of Roberto Garcia. 4th place goes the way of the number 31 on the Fantic Racing machine. Jero Uith 5th, Xavi Cardelou 6th, and takes 2nd in the championship as well. 7th for Peter Piszczegórski, Francesco Mongiardo in 8th, Alberto Ferrandez in the end 9th, and perhaps a little bit dejected from that 2nd row start, completing the top 10, Mattia Ratto, who hasn't had the pace all weekend. Ratto not able in the end to really launch an attack for 3rd overall in the championship. But Senna Aegis, what about it? The biggest comeback in a dry race we've ever seen in this class. 17th to 1st. I take off the hat that I'm not even wearing. Brilliant scenes then here in the final race of the 2023 Finetwork FIM Junior GP World Championship for the Moto2 European Championship. It has been a fantastic race, a brilliant comeback from Senna Aegis, 17th to 1st. I won't say he made it look easy, because when he arrived to Alberto Sura, he did have to work hard over the course of 3 laps, catching one thing, passing another, as we said in the commentary at the time. 2nd for Alberto Sura, he'll be more than happy with that. He would have liked to go out with a win. It is his 4th second in this category. He's had 4 podiums this season. His first one didn't come until Portimao. He was struggling in the opening part. I remember when he was back here in Valencia, he didn't even finish. So trouble for Sura in the early part of the year. That maybe cost him a real charge at 2nd place. But get ready to see some of this in the Moto2 World Championship next year. The 81 of Senna Aegis in that team. He moves up with the same team to the World Championship. He's teammates to Darren Binder, and he will be looking to be doing plenty of stand-up wheelies, Troy Corsa style. I remember Troy Corsa doing that in 2001 around Valencia. Of course, he started that World Superbike season with a double, but that was then. This is now. 22 years on, Australia has another star. I'm sure that the likes of Leon Camier watching back home will be very, very happy. Leon Camier, the British champion from 2009, training and advising Senna Aegis through his career. And look at that, a fantastic stoppie on the way into pit lane, into Parc Ferme. And number 81, cross out that 8 and it would still be correct. There's his dad, Jonathan, coming in now with the grey hair. They're living a dream, and it was something that in his interview with me yesterday, Jonathan said that even if it doesn't work out, I'm still traveling the world with my son, and I'm still hoping and waiting for that moment where he comes good and shows the world what he really can do. In the end, he didn't need to worry. It was always done. It was always there. The talent was clear from day one. Racing against his older brothers back in Australia. Senna Aegis, there's something a little bit special. Alberto Sura 2nd, and 3rd for Unai Aradre, a race winner earlier in the year back in Barcelona. Aradre takes his 3rd podium in the class. His only other 2 coming from Barcelona. This is Alberto Sura. He fought so hard. Sura, the Bosco Oscuro team would have liked to have a win in 2023. It wasn't the case in the end. A respectful handshake there between the 2 rivals. And that is that for another year in Moto2. The European Championship again proving to be a stepping stone, providing great action, phenomenal races, and stars of the future. Here's Unai Aradre. He's celebrating with his team. Of course, he isn't teammates with Senna Aegis. That was my mistake earlier in the race. He is the STV Leglise team themselves with 27 titles in this paddock. It is quite remarkable, the achievements of that outfit. This is earlier in the race. This is the start. Watch your number 81 come through from the back. He's 17th place. It's almost pointless giving him the penalty. Come through. That's 13 of Ratto. Just ahead of him, the AGR machine. Senna tipping in. And then this was the final race-winning move, I think. Yeah, just a bit tighter that time around. Just a bit more ship shape and tiddly-tidy. And 17th to 1st, that's the elation for Aegis as he crossed the line for a 10th career win. Like I say, joining the likes of Edgar Pons on 18 and Jesco Raffin on 10 as the only other rider with at least 10 wins in the Moto2 class. Fantastic stuff. Obviously, Australia's wins all come by Aegis. He is the dominant force from down under. Maybe that is what he can be known as. He's getting ready for the interview. He's waiting there down there with Steve, I am sure. Aegis, a real talent in the Moto2 European Championship in 2023. Just outside the top 10 as well, just worth noting, Ivo Lopez was 11th ahead of Sam Wilford. Marco Tapio ahead of Kyle Path. the final point going in 15th place to Filip Rejcek. Mattia Volpi, Shannon Inter, Harrison Voigt and Gerard Ryu not finishing. Voigt and Ryu going down on the first lap. Voigt at turn 12, Ryu with a big high side at turn 11. Thankfully, both okay. But here we are from 17th to victory. Senna Aegis with a Senna performance.
Senna, just to... We've been interrupted here, but Senna, you got your hat now. And just to put this one into context, this was a super impressive performance, but even given what you've done this year, it wasn't that much of a surprise to see you come through.
It was simple. That was the best race of the season, and I couldn't have thought of a better race to finish off my time here in JuniorGP. That was everything thrown against us, like to tyres that we haven't used all weekend because the temperatures have been quite drastic this weekend, so new feelings, different, coming a situation we haven't had all year coming from the back. Sura got a gap. I was a bit worried mid-race. I honestly wasn't feeling the best. Then I was seeing where I could learn where he was strong, even though from a distance where the gap was like a bit stagnant, and then started fixing a few things. And once I passed him and we had a bit of a scrap, I put 3 good laps together and that was it. So I'm super happy with myself for that one. A new challenge unlocked, and for sure you take confidence with that.
Congratulations, great job this year.
Thanks.
The only foot wrong he's put all weekend, besides the penalty, was not having the hat on in time. So Senna Aegis didn't quite do a disappearing act in the race, but he tried his best in the interview. Race highlights then for the final Moto2 European Championship race of the season. Yaro Ruiz got a smoky start as his front wheel kept touching down, but he still got it laid down on the line at turn 1. Massive high side out over the front door, dearie me, for Gerard Ryu. Then Harrison Voigt a lap later on turn 1. Yaro Ruiz was your early race leader, but he was back in 4th after a handful of moments at turn 11, and it was Alberto Sura who took advantage. MMR teams, Mattia Volpi eventually crashed out at turn 3. Thankfully, he was up and okay after that one, but it was Sura who had a lead of over 3 seconds. Meanwhile, Senna Aegis was the rider who was trying to come through, the number 81, 17th on the grid. Had his work cut out to come back through all of the riders. Roberto Garcia was one of his victims at the middle race distance, and then Unai Radre was soon to be the next one. Aegis, a classy act, then set his sights about Alberto Sura and was soon enough right there. It took him 3 attempts to get the job done. Sura fighting back more or less each time. This was the first attempt. Sura letting the brakes off down into turn 8. Aegis tried at the last corner, something different. Sura carried the speed on a normal racing line, led over the line as the two went elbow to elbow. We thought we might have had a bit of a gloves-off fight. Aegis tried again, this time kept it tight, hit the front to storm clear. He closed down the 3.5 second gap and opened up one himself. Aegis with an epic 17th to first fight back. Senna by name, Senna by nature. Formula 1 fans, I'm sure you'll understand where I'm going with that one. Aegis, the race winner, the 10th of his career. He signs off an amazing 2023 season in absolute style. The Moto2 World Championship awaits the latest talent line from Australia. The number 81 is number 1 in the final race of the year. So now we are getting ready for the podium celebrations. This is Jonathan Aegis, the father of Senna. They've got a big road ahead of them next year. 22 Grand Prix in the Moto2 World Championship. 3rd place goes to Unai Radre. 2nd for Alberto Sura, your long-time race leader, but from 17th to 1st, a fantastic performance by Senna Aegis. Aegis on the top step of the box once more. So the FIM JuniorGP Chief Steward gives out the trophy to Jonathan Aegis for the Teams Award. There's 2 Aegis on the podium. It didn't take Aegis to get to the lead though. Radre, 3rd place, solid performance from him, his 3rd podium of the year. Of course, he was a race winner back in Barcelona. Alberto Sura, as we said before, would have liked to have signed off with a victory. Tried his best and he dug deep, but wasn't able to in the end. Senna Aegis, on the other hand, in another league. His 8th win of the year, his 10th of his career.
Escuchamos
Let's
en honor
get
del
ready
vencedor,
for the
el himno de
Australian
Australia.
national anthem.
Ese aplauso para los integrantes del podio, ese cuadro de honor. Y ya están ahí celebrándolo.
Brilliant scenes to end the season then. The Prosecco DFC in full flow.
Ese final de temporada con
Center Aegis also in full flow. That'll be the last time that we see him in the JuniorGP paddock, unless of course he comes back and does a couple of wildcards, just to prove that he was an emphatic champion this season. Roberto Sura second, and Adre third. Australia from Italy, from Spain in the final race of the 2023 season. Center Aegis, his father Jonathan there, sharing a special moment before a massive new chapter awaits in 2024. I feel like this won't be the last time we see Center Aegis celebrating on the podium, this whatever step it turns out to be.
El piloto de La Rioja, el italiano y el australiano.
So then, the final race of the season, race 11 out of 11. Center Aegis from 17th on the grid cruises to victory by just over 3 seconds ahead of Alberto Sura and Unai Aradre third there. Roberto Garcia misses out on the podium in the final race of the year. He's fourth. Yorai Ruiz, who went from pole, in the end 15 seconds back in fifth. Cardalou second overall in the championship ahead of Peter Bishikirski, Francesco Mongiardo, and plenty of other riders right the way through the order. Ivo Lopez, of course, he had some World Superbike experience this year in BMW. He took 11th. Sam Wilford 12th in the final race of the year. Right the way through, Mattia Volpi, Shannon Inter, Harrison Voigt and Gerard Rieu, 4 non-finishers in the last race of 2023. Let's check out the championship standings. It was all done and dusted last time out at Motorland Aragon. It's signed, sealed and delivered now. Center Aegis 216 points, 67 clear of Xavi Cardalou, who holds on to second overall. Alberto Sura with the bronze medal, third overall. Mattia Ratto unable to really make an impact this weekend. He's a solid fourth, though, still the best we've seen of the Italian. Roberto Garcia leads a pack of Spaniards. Aradre Ruiz Toledo, Carlos Tatai, who continues his recuperation. Our well wishes to him. And of course, for the latest updates on Carlos's condition, check him out across all of his social media channels. Niccolo Antonelli was a big name in 2023 to come into the championship, but failed to make an impact. He's only 11th come the end. Sam Wilford still getting back up to full speed. He was 13th. Harrison Voigt, it was a story of what could have been. Plenty of opportunities not fulfilled. He's 18th come the end of it. Right the way through, though, we've got nationalities: Croatians, Czechs, Romanians and Filipinos. It's a real international field in the Moto2 European Championship this year, and next year promises to be absolutely no different. Right the way through, 29-point scorers throughout the 11 races that we've had this season. One chapter is closed in the biography of Center Aegis, but perhaps the biggest is still to come. He will be a Moto2 World Championship rider in 2024, and with 8 wins in his championship year here in JuniorGP, he is a real star of the future. Watch out for Senna, because he's going to be coming on strong next year around the world, and Australia has something very special on its hands.